Welcome to the Wakefield Doctrine, the theory of Clarke, Scotts, and Rogers. This is Video Friday. This is episode, I believe it's 23, or it could be 24. And we have a guest today, as you saw by the yellow factory building we just passed. And that is Molly. And she's in the dashboard with us right now. Let's say hello. Hello, Molly.
Hi there, Clarke.
We, in the interest of full disclosure, we were having a conversation before the machine went on and started recording everything, so we're totally together and prepared, and we've got the snappiest of all dialogues coming up, as long as you stick with us a little bit. Question one, Molly, now that you've been with the Doctrine for a number of weeks, what's the thing that makes you say, yeah, okay, I'll hang out a little longer about the Wakefield Doctrine?
The fact that it is working. I can see things, I can look at people and go, okay, that's why they're acting the way they are, instead of just going, oh, good grief, what's wrong with them?
Mm-hmm.
And actually be able to see the world more as they see it, and
Okay.
Instead of just rolling my eyes at people. And also, it's really helping me see my children for who they are and know what kind of things inspire them or frustrate them.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes.
Huh.
A few weeks ago, there was something on the blog about choices, how Clarks love choices. Scotts say, just tell me what's best, even though they can deal with them, and Rogers really don't like them. I took that and applied that principle and eliminated most of the choices for most of my children. And they are so much more content.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
What the hell is it about Clark's? We do that where we will, well, I say, well, here's what we got to do. But then again, the option B is this, and then if we're looking at that, let's explore the inferences of option C. What the hell's the deal with that with Clark's?
I think part of it is a natural distrust for being told what to do and how to do something.
Yeah.
And we want to prove it for ourselves. I think that's the scientist. So we're going to explore, and we're going to make sure that we agree with whatever we're doing. I think there's a high level of integrity in a lot of the thinking and doing, and we're not going to pass something on until we're sure of it ourselves.
Okay, okay. I was talking to a Clarke at work earlier today, and as I'm increasingly want to do, and we got onto that subject of helping other people, and she brought up the idea that she will just wholesale give everything she knows about if she's discussing with a client some problem. She'll give information which will include the right answer for the client wholesale, but all too often the other person discounts a lot of it, and that seems to be a common frustration with Clark's, is that, you know, we like information, we like to know stuff. Whether anybody else says that's right or not seems to be secondary to just the fun, the curiosity. But when we offer it as a solution, it seems all too often that people don't put the appropriate value on our advice. I don't know if have you encountered that, or where they listen to what you say, and you've got the advice that includes not only the correct instructions, but the reasons the instructions are correct, and the care and feeding after the instructions have been implemented. A Scott will walk into the room in 2 minutes after you're done and say, hey, come here, and they get up and go, and you think, what the hell? I just said that. No.
I've seen that a lot in my dad. He's a Clarke, and a question that you want a 30-second answer on, he will give you a 2-hour answer.
Okay.
And you will get all the history and all the variables.
Yep. Yeah.
And all you wanted was, yeah, that will work. Or no, that won't work.
Yep. Yep.
So I think it has to do with how much answer the other person is looking for.
Mm.
And being able to dish out the most important information first to answer the question. But if they're still looking, then keep going.
Yep. You know, hearing you say that sort of reinforces what I see most recently myself. Is we're saying lately around here is that the doctrine's for you, it's not for them. And when you're saying that, because I'm one of those 2-hour answer guys, is that I'm now more frequently stopping after the first paragraph and looking around and seeing if there's anybody still in the room. And that's a difference. It's a difference because, you know, yeah. Okay, that was a good.
Learning to read your audience is part of it.
Yes, yes. And you know, there's audience and the person you're interacting with, which are sometimes mutually exclusive, but very much because when you're rummaging around in the gigantic library that your head is, their attention span, especially if they're a Scot, could be almost anywhere. You know, somebody throws a ball into the room and all of a sudden they're chasing that and you're still footnoting the answer. So, you're out west, western part of the North American continent. Any difference you find from, I mean, I'm in New England. The Wakefield can be found on the map as a part of the coastal New England. Any difference in how the doctrine feels or plays or applies when you're out in giant Skyland?
I don't know. I think that the closer you are to a city, the more Rogerian type people you're going to run into. Because, especially growing up in a farmland, you had people who had to do it on their own. And who've made their decisions to be on their own.
Yep.
So you don't find a lot of people, where I live in particular, was settled by Mormons. And you find a lot of the Rogerian family tradition values amongst the Mormons.
Yep, yep.
But virtually everybody else who lives here, I would say, is going to be a Scott or a Clark. At least half the family is. And they're the person who made the decision to come here.
Ah, okay.
So, in our communities, there's, like the town I live in, has really exploded over the last 10 years population-wise. But there is virtually no sense of community in it. Because everybody's here doing their own thing.
Okay.
Yes, we live in a town, but that's because that's where land was available. It's not because we gathered there to form some sort of community.
Okay.
So that's one thing I'm seeing as I look at the people around me.
Okay. But the Mormons, and I did visit. They've got a very nice city over in Utah. I was out there for last winter, and I think I claimed the city. I hope they don't mind. But they struck me as, and you know, we have a conversation often, especially when there are a lot of Scots in the room. They get down on Rogers and Rogers of this and that, and we all, there's no good or bad forms, of course, but Rogers. There's something reassuring about when it comes to the good side of Rogers. They are very reassuring. Maybe if only by the fact that they all seem to be walking in a nicely ordered group and lead orderly lives and stuff like that. How does that fit in that? Do they form an enclave that is very definitely separate from the Scots shooting up the town and the Clarks get you kids in the house kind of people?
Yeah. They definitely have their own community, and they stick together, even now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the population has gone from about 20% outsiders to 50 or 60% in the last 10 years that I've lived here, they're still the same. They haven't changed.
Of course not. They're Rajas.
There's been cities, or not cities, but towns grow up all around them, and they're still doing the same things, going to the same places, carrying on the same conversations.
Wearing the same clothes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have several friends in that community, and it's interesting to see how the things I see are not what they see, because the people they hang around are different.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't see the changes the same way I do.
Yeah.
You know, and the things that are most important to them are very different than what I see being most important to most other people in the area.
Tradition, family history, values, quote unquote, the lineage. The Rajas are all about that.
Yes. And the family things, and
Yep. Okay.
I'm going to say the circling of the wagon train.
Oh,
You know, there tends to be a lot of that.
Yep.
Something happens and everybody gathers around.
Yep.
And so there's some really good points in it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take this brief commercial break.